Welcome to the deep dive. If you've ever watched a pro golfer swing and thought, hang on, how can they look so different from each other but still hit it pure? Well, today, we might just have the answer for you.
Yeah, it's a great question.
We are strapping on the spikes, metaphorically speaking, and diving into what might be, well, one of the most technical but absolutely crucial moments in the golf swing. P5, the transition.
P5, yeah, that's position 5 for anyone not up on the P system lingo. It sounds a bit dry, maybe. P5. But honestly, if you look at the sources we're digging into, this moment is often described as the make or break point.
Make or break, wow.
Seriously, it's that split second where the backswing stops and the downswing actually kicks off.
Right, and that distinction, that tiny moment, is everything we're talking about today. Our mission really is to unpack how P5 looks totally different depending on your BioSwing Dynamics core type.
Exactly. Are you upper core, middle core, or lower core dominant? BioSwing Dynamics basically says your main power source dictates your best swing.
And P5 is where that becomes crystal clear.
Couldn't agree more. So, just to be clear for everyone listening, P5 happens just after the top of the backswing. Your lead arm gets parallel to the ground again, but this time, crucially, it's on the way down.
Okay, got it. Parallel coming down.
And why it matters so much. This is the instant where things like ground forces, how you rotate, the whole sequence of movement, it all starts accelerating towards the ball.
So if you botch P5, you're kind of sunk for that swing.
Pretty much, yeah. The sources are really clear on this. If your sequence is off at P5, like the wrong body part fires first for your specific type, you're basically signing up for compensations down the line.
Which means inconsistency,
Yeah.
loss of power, all the bad stuff.
All the bad stuff. The angles you create or don't create right there at P5, they literally set the blueprint for how effectively you can deliver the club into P6, the next phase, and then P7 impact itself.
It's the foundation for the whole downswing sequence then.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's the blueprint.
Okay, blueprint laid out. Let's unpack the first style, the upper core golfer. If you're an upper core player, the sources say your movement tends to be more vertical, right? Power comes from higher up.
That's the idea. The initiation, the start of the downswing comes from the upper body. Think upper spine, shoulders. It creates this strong lead side pull.
A pull pattern, okay.
It's fascinating because the sequence literally starts high and moves down. The shoulders, the upper torso, they initiate the transition with this distinct downward pull. It's almost aggressive, designed to keep things steep.
So if the shoulders are pulling down first, what does P5 actually look like for them? Mechanically, visually.
Okay, the specifics. Lead arm is parallel to the ground, we know that. But look where it is relative to the chest. It's slightly in front of the chest line.
In front. Okay, why?
Because the upper body is leading the dance. They pull the club slightly across their body line almost, setting up that intentionally steep angle of attack into the ball.
That sounds a little risky. If the club's staying really upright, near the shoulder plane, lots of wrist hinge still.
Yeah.
How do they stop coming over the top or hitting a huge slice?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it comes down to the strategy matching the style. Because there's very little shallowing happening, the clubs stay steep, they have to make a specific move. It's often called a cover style move into the ball. That steepness demands they rotate hard and shift their body mass aggressively towards the target. They've got to compress the ball before the club head gets too far outside that target line.
So the body's action has to support that steep path. If the upper body is pulling down hard, the lower body must be.
Playing catch-up, essentially.
Yeah.
The pelvis stays relatively quiet early on. Lower body movement really kicks in after the upper body has already initiated.
Okay.
So you get this later hip rotation combined with the steep path. It lets them really prioritize compression and that downward strike. Ideal for this type, but man, the timing has to be spot on.
Yeah, you can see how getting that timing slightly wrong could lead to that dreaded outside-in path.
Yeah.
Okay, that explanation of the why behind the steepness really helps. Let's shift gears. Middle core golfers,
Right.
often described as the balanced ones, right? Efficient, maybe the textbook look, if there is one.
Well, yeah, it's definitely the model of synchronization. Middle core players, their transition is generally smooth. Upper and lower bodies seem to coordinate really well. The goal at P5 for them is neutrality, athleticism, efficiency.
So if the upper core starts with the shoulders pulling down, how does the middle core player kick off P5 to get that balance? Is it hips first?
Is hips first, but it's different from the lower core type we'll get to. It's
Yeah.
a more balanced initiation. The hips start the downswing, yes, with rotation and a definite pressure shift into the lead foot.
So the weight starts moving forward early.
early but smoothly. It sets up, let's say, moderate ground reaction forces right away. It's not passive, but it's not super aggressive either.
And how does that moderate start affect where the club and body are at P5?
This is where you often see that classic on-plane look. Remember, the upper core's arm was slightly in front. The middle core's lead arm is parallel, yes, but it's usually right in line with the center of their chest.
Okay, perfectly aligned.
And because the lower body started things, gravity gets a little say. The club shaft shallows out, but just slightly. It aligns itself neatly, just a touch below the shoulder plane. Very clean.
So our first real hint of shallowing, but it's controlled, measured. The club's dropping back a bit, getting ready for that neutral path. What's the torso doing?
The torso rotates and starts to tilt forward towards the ball, but they're really good at maintaining their spine angle. You don't see excessive leaning or lifting. Everything stays pretty centered.
Connected.
Very connected. And the trail elbow supports this. It tucks in neatly, usually just in front of the trail hip. It looks, well, efficient. Minimal wasted motion.
It sounds almost
Sure.
perfect. But we know golf isn't about perfection. If they rely so much on everything syncing up just right, what's the risk? What happens if their timing is just a fraction off?
That's a really sharp point. The big challenge for the middle core player is that synchronization. If, say, the lower body starts turning just a bit too fast, but the arms haven't caught up,
They lose that neutrality.
exactly. They can get a little stuck. Maybe the club gets forced too far inside. They might start looking a bit like a lower core player, but without the necessary depth or setup to actually make that work.
Okay.
So they really need precision at P5. Everything has to fire in that perfect rhythm for their model to work best.
Makes sense. Great insight on that trade-off. Okay, on to our third style. The lower core golfer. When I hear lower core, I immediately think aggressive rotation from the ground up.
Yeah.
Big power move.
You're spot on. Lower core players are all about generating force from the ground. They initiate the transition almost entirely from their weight shift and a really early, really aggressive hip rotation.
This is the style that needs the most dramatic adjustment at P5 then, because they're setting up a very different path.
Totally different. They are intentionally setting up a much more inside-out path, and P5 is where they lay the groundwork for that shallow delivery.
Okay, so that initiation, it must be pretty powerful to drive such an aggressive shallowing move. What's happening?
It's, well, violent might be too strong, but it's definitely dynamic compared to the others. The hips rotate very aggressively, very early. The pelvis is basically sprinting ahead.
Well, the upper body.
Stays back. That's the key. The upper body remains remarkably stable, almost passive initially. The chest intentionally stays kind of over the trail leg or trail side, while the lower body is unwinding like crazy.
Wow, okay, so lower body goes, upper body resists. That must create a huge stretch or whip effect.
Massive. And that tension, that separation, directly affects the club's path at P5. It creates significant depth. The lead arm, parallel to the ground, is way deeper behind the center of the chest compared to the other two types.
Deeper behind.
And then, as a direct result of the pelvis pulling so hard, the club shaft shallows out aggressively. It drops significantly below the shoulder plane. This isn't an error for them. This is their optimal setup.
Now that aggressive shallowing, dropping the club way behind you, that's like the textbook getting stuck. Fear for most amateurs, isn't it?
Yeah.
How do they avoid just blocking it miles right or having the hands flip over wildly?
Right, and that's where the magic of matching the move to the core type comes in. It works because they are lower core dominant. Remember how the upper body stayed passive, the chest stayed back?
Yeah, over the trail side.
That delay is crucial. It keeps the chest turned back long enough for the arms and club to drop into that shallow position without getting trapped behind the rotating torso too early.
Ah, so the delayed upper body turn keeps the runway clear for the club coming from the inside.
Precisely. And this massive lag they create. It requires the trail elbow to tuck in really tightly in front of the trail hip. That supports the shallowing, keeps the structure, and sets up that powerful in-to-out delivery.
Okay, the geometry makes sense now. It's a sequence designed for that body type.
Right.
So looking across all three then, P5, it happens in a blink, but it's completely dictated by where your power comes from.
Absolutely.
You've got the upper core, vertical, steep path, middle core,
Yeah.
balanced, slightly shallow, lower core, rotational, super shallow. Three distinct pathways.
And that's the whole so what, isn't it?
Yeah.
P5 isn't just some random checkpoint. It's not one size fits all. It's prescriptive based on your body.
Right.
The specific sequence, the angles you create right there at P5, they fundamentally determine your strategy for the rest of the downswing, getting into P6, the delivery slot, and P7 impact.
So P5 basically decides, are you aiming for steep compression or neutral efficiency?
Yeah.
Or that shallow inside-out power launch?
Exactly. It dictates the entire approach.
And this knowledge, understanding these differences, it gives you, the listener, the framework for why great players can look so different in transition. You simply can't tell a lower core player to feel like an upper core player at P5.
You'd wreck their swing. It would completely counteract how they generate speed and square the club face. You'd be fighting their natural mechanics.
And vice versa, telling an upper core player to shallow it like a lower core guy.
Often leads to disaster, yeah. They might dump the club way too far behind them, lose all control, lose their compression. It just doesn't match their engine.
So the takeaway for you listening is optimal isn't uniform. Optimal is matching your P5 move to your core dynamics. That's the key to consistency and efficient power.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Understand your type. Understand your corresponding P5.
This has been incredibly clarifying, really breaking down the mechanics of that make-or-break transition point. We've pretty much established P5 as the foundation, the critical setup moment.
It absolutely is the setup. And, since we've seen how P5 sets the stage, it makes you think about what comes next, right? Which is P6.
The delivery position.
Yeah, and the sources we looked at, they often describe P6 as the peak of the downturn. It's the position where maximum energy is effectively charged up, ready to go.
Ah, interesting. So P5 builds the foundation.
P5 dictates the path and starts coiling the spring, you could say. Then P6 is where that path gets locked in just before impact, ensuring all that elastic energy you started storing back at P5 is held stabilized.
Ready to be unleashed into the ball.
Exactly. P5 sets the charge, P6 holds it, ready for impact. Something to maybe visualize next time you're working on that transition.
P5 sets the charge, P6 holds it. Love that. Definitely something for you to chew on until our next deep dive.